Donald Trump is getting away with having secret police because George Bush got away with torture and murder. Check it out. Leave your comments, ding the bell, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel about this. You know, Bush getting away with torture. Trump thinks that now he can get away with this secret police. Axios is reporting that Donald Trump was inspired to create his secret police force, which he is now deploying to Portland, because George W. Bush issued an executive order authorizing the military and the CIA to torture and kill innocent people, and he got away with it. And this was on Fox News. He was talking to Chris Wallace, and he says, you know, that Supreme Court DACA decision, that told me how I can get things done. I'm paraphrasing here, obviously, but. And because what the court said in Trump's DACA decision was Barack Obama created DACA with an executive order. You can undo it with an executive order. You just did your executive order wrong. Here's the wording you have to have. And so Trump said on Fox over the weekend, he's going to have the new executive order that will undo DACA coming out this week. Meanwhile, he's also used executive orders to create a national secret police force fashioned after Germany's SS to train civilians in the use of weapons and how to perform citizens' arrests, fashioned after Germany's brown shirts. Both programs are now fully implemented. We still don't know who these guys are in the streets of Portland who are beating people up and snatching them, but never charging them with a crime. Is it because they're graduates of this new academy that ISIS started to train civilians in how to use weapons and do civilian arrests? I mean, these are basically crimes against democracy. Trump has also issued executive orders to end virtually all environmental regulations and protections and many of our banking regulations, to give billions of dollars to his buddies and his cronies, to create a broader infrastructure of fascism inside the U.S. government that could take a generation to dismantle. I mean, you think back, how did this all get started? I'm going to pick up on this rant after the break, but basically it all started with Jerry Ford pardoning Nixon, and then Jimmy Carter, the Democratic president, coming in and saying, you know, we're not going to go back and look at those crimes. We're going to move forward. Let me just be very, very clear about what's going on here with regard to George W. Bush and Donald Trump, and we're seeing it live right here in Portland. We had a Navy veteran, Christopher David, over the weekend, who just went down and stood there with his hands in the air, and these federal guys came out and beat him with batons. He had a Navy. He was an 8-year Navy veteran. The photo of this has just totally gone viral. I retweeted it. If you want to see it, it's on my timeline. And they broke 2 bones in his hands with their clubs. And what he was saying to them was, why don't you guys honor your oath to the Constitution? He took one when he joined the Navy. So how is it that this team even exists? This private secret police force that have no badges, no insignia, no identification, that are literally, the moms showed up over the weekend, right? The moms. This is from a piece on Daily Kos by Joan McCarter, which is, particularly well done and tight. She says, the moms were back Sunday night in yellow shirts with arms linked to former black blockade. One, Edie, who is soon to be a grandmother, told Willamette Week, the wall of moms were in white yesterday and they were tear gassed and shoved. So we came in yellow today and we're alongside the fence beside them, telling them, feds go home, the moms are here. The moms say, you're not going to hurt our kids. They were tear gassed again. And then I told you about, Christopher Davis. And then Davis tells the Willamette Week, he says to the the Washington Post, he says, it's just us normal people out here. There were a whole group of pregnant moms standing out there linking arms and they got tear gassed. You hear Trump saying it's just a bunch of wacko fringe people in liberal cities who are out there, but no way, we're all just normal people who think what's happening is wrong. So how did this happen? Well, it turns out that John Yoo wrote an editorial. John Yoo and Jay Bybee. Jane Bybee is now a federal judge. John Yoo is now a law professor in California. The two of them wrote the memo, the torture memo, that George W. Bush used to issue an executive order authorizing torture by the CIA and our military, waterboarding and all that other stuff. Illegal. But he did it. And John Yoo writes, he says, this should make it easy for presidents to violate the law. He says, quote, this is from John Yoo, quote, this is what Trump read, by the way, and Trump has shared this with numerous people around the White House. This was a few weeks ago. He said, quote, suppose President Donald Trump decided to create a nationwide right to carry guns openly. He could declare that he would not enforce federal firearms law and that a new Trump permit would free any holder of state and local gun control restrictions. Even if Trump knew that his scheme lacked legal authority, he could get away with it for the length of his presidency. And moreover, even if courts declared the Trump permit illegal, his successor would have to keep enforcing the program for another year or two, because it takes a year or two to undo a presidential executive order. And so then Trump says, when he's talking to Chris Wallace, he says, the DACA decision of the Supreme Court, in which they basically said, you can't undo Obama's executive order except if you follow these particular rules. So he's going to do that. Well, now he's also issued all these other executive orders and doing all these other crazy things, just basically destroying our democracy. Well, how did that happen? Jerry Ford pardoned Richard Nixon and Jimmy Carter said, we're going to look forward, not backwards. So now we have Trump, who figures out that he can get away with things. George H.W. Bush, on the advice of his Attorney General Bill Barr, pardoned Casper Weinberger, Ollie North, and several others so that he and Reagan could get away with Iran Contra. So now we have Trump, who figures he can get away with things. Bill Clinton chose to not look into Iran Contra or any of the other crimes committed by the Reagan administration. And so now we have Trump, who figures he can get away with things. George W. Bush and Dick Cheney ignored the law and the Constitution and tortured and disappeared innocent civilians. And Barack Obama decided it wasn't worth investigating or prosecuting or even passing legislation to prevent from happening again. And so now we have Donald Trump, who knows that he can get away with these things and even step them up and use open violence against United States citizens, peacefully protesting United States citizens. This is what happens when 3 generations of Democratic presidents ignore the crimes and illegal executive orders of the Republicans who preceded them. It's got to stop. This is the ICE. ICE offers Citizens Training Academy courses. U.S. Immigration and Customs Agency has launched a 6-week Citizens Academy course on immigration enforcement, training for citizens on how to arrest undocumented citizens, immigrants. Included in the course will be training in defensive tactics, firearm familiarization, and targeted arrests. These come out of a program called the Homeland Security Investigations, HSI. They graduated their first inaugural class of Citizens Academy students this last fall. This is a story from last year. This is a website. This is from the website, ice.gov. Literally, it's a press release. They say overall, HSI's St. Paul workforce represents about 1% of the agency's human capital, but it produces consistently high results. HSI's St. Paul obtained more than twice as many indictments and convictions than the national average. HSI St. Paul made more than 100 arrests for various drug-related offenses, including smuggling and distribution.